Hi there, fundraisers. Shannon here, and today I'm here to talk to you about rewards, what they are, how to use them, and even how to put them onto your campaign on Fundraiser. So let's get started. Like I said, we're going to go through what a reward is, the different types of rewards as well, and why you might choose to use them. We will go through a walkthrough of how to add them in the different settings on Fundraiser, as well as a few best practices if you're wondering about what you should do when it comes to actually providing these rewards to your supporters. So what is a reward and why should I use them? In essence, a reward is an item given to someone, and that can be either a beneficiary or the contributor. It doesn't have to be to the supporter, and those we call wish list items. But it's something that is given to one of those in exchange for a contribution. Now we have 4 different types of rewards on Fundraiser, and it's important that you choose the proper one because it would dictate the messaging around that reward on the platform. For example, perks are anything of value provided to donors who contribute the amount you specify. This does not have to be the market value of an item. It is a gift for a donor. I'm sure that everyone here has seen a perk available for a campaign that you may have run or have donated to, but here's one example of perk items. This is from a campaign for the Crusoe Fund. I'm just going to minimize myself a little bit there. And the Crusoe Fund was raising money for Cornell University for research into an illness that Crusoe here had and was subsequently cured from, luckily. And he's actually an internet star, an Instagram famous doggy. So they created some swag items to give to their donors. So this can be something simple like a thank you note or even a t-shirt, bracelet, and they even got really creative and had the higher level donations choose to have a Zoom call with Crusoe himself and his little doggy sister there, Daphne. So you can see how you can actually get creative with perk items. It doesn't necessarily have to be something tangible. It can be a feeling. It can be an experience like this Zoom call, something that doesn't necessarily have to cost you money or time or other resources to actually get this reward item and ship it out. So we actually do recommend you go on and you look at all the different campaigns on Fundraiser to see the different kinds of reward items that people have or perk items that people have. And that might, jog your creativity a little bit. The next one are products. So this is something that you've created or manufactured for sale. You provide the product to supporters who contribute the amount you specify. This is where you would have the approximate market value for your product. So a perk is, donate $100 towards our cause and we'll gift you a t-shirt. No, that t-shirt is not worth $100. It is just a gift in exchange for your donation. Whereas a product is, hey, I created this thing. Do you want to purchase this thing? Maybe that thing is something new that you're trying out and you might reduce the price a little bit, but basically it's something that you have created and are actively selling. Examples of these are books, comic books especially are very popular on our platforms. We even have some campaigns that run products such as 3D printed dolls. And if you have a campaign that you've created to market something that you've created, and you will consider yourself a creator and you might have lots of different product items for sale, we actually have a brand new platform that is a bit more focused on this type of campaign, and that is called Crowdfunder. Now, if you're confused, does my campaign belong on Crowdfunder or Fundraiser? Fundraiser is more for campaigns for a cause, and Crowdfunder is for creators and inventors to showcase products that they might sell or have created a demo product for. So you don't have to run a creative project on Crowdfunder. You can run it on Fundraiser if you choose. We're not going to say absolutely not, you can't do that. But Crowdfunder has some more of the functions for creators. So if you're a creator, I highly urge you to go to Crowdfunder, but that's not to say that you can't sell some products on Fundraiser if you want. You absolutely can. The next one is a ticket. So a ticket is exactly what it sounds like. It's for entrance into a live event. So we will go over how tickets work a little bit later, but essentially they are digital fulfilled tickets that automatically get emailed out to your supporters. And then they have a barcode on them, and that can be entry into an event. But we will go over those later. Oh, right. One thing that we cannot do on Fundraiser is raffles. And that is because raffles are considered gambling and you need a license to run them. At least in Canada and the United States, each different province and state has their own laws around gambling and raffles and things like that. You need to get a license first. If you do have a license, then yes, you can run your raffle on Fundraiser. We don't have a lot of functionality for that. You actually might be better off using a different platform. But if you do want to run a raffle on Fundraiser, you would just have to prove to us beforehand that you have this license. But in general, crowdfunding, this type of crowdfunding platform for raffles is not generally the best idea. It can be done, but if you're wondering if you are able to do a raffle, chances are you can't because you haven't gotten that license that you need. And you also might be from a country where all forms of gambling aren't legal. So just make sure that if this is something you're going to consider, you look into what the actual rules and regulations are in the country, state, province that you live in. The last reward item we have is called a wish. This is a request for funding for a specific item that does not go to the supporter, the donor. Instead, they receive satisfaction of providing something for someone else with assurances of what their contribution is going towards. This is an extremely valuable way to let your supporters know what their donations actually go towards. And a really good example is for a homeless shelter. So these are types of wish list items that are run on our platform for a homeless shelter out in Nova Scotia in Canada. They have lots of these types of wish list items, but just to give you an idea, you can provide a simple cup of a hot beverage to someone who might just need a little bit of a pick-me-up, small household items, gift cards, personal care items, etc. These things are actually given. That's the whole point. The idea is that they will be actually given to the beneficiary from the donor. You don't have to prove to the donor that you've given it, but it is under the understanding that this is something that you're actually tangibly buying for somebody. So those are the what's. What are rewards and what kinds of rewards do we have? Now we're going to go over why you might want to give these out. One reason is to test the market. Maybe you have a product and you can't quite finish completion of it until you have all of your funds. And you're not quite sure if there's going to be enough interest. So you don't want to run a keep it all type of campaign where you get the funds as they come in, but you can run an all or nothing campaign where your goal is what you need in order to get this product off the ground. And you only charge your supporters if you hit that goal. So this is a really good way to test out the market and see if there is interest in your product. And a really good example of this is a comic book publisher, Black Eye Books. They do now run on Crowdfunder, but before we had Crowdfunder, they ran on Fundraiser. And what he would do is he publishes old editions of comic books that are no longer in circulation. So what he does is he has an all or nothing campaign. He sees, I need X amount of dollars in order to get this published. Is there interest for it? And then he has product items as rewards in this campaign. And you can see that he absolutely killed his goal, and he kills every goal that he has. But this is one method of seeing if there's viability for your product. The second reason is people simply like stuff. I couldn't tell you why. I personally am one of those people who don't like to have a bunch of stuff littering everywhere in my place, but some people really like stuff. So as an example, this is Mission Possible. And what they do is they provide a way for the homeless population in Vancouver, in Canada. They provide them with jobs and a way to get to their jobs. So they not only provide physical items that our homeless community might need, but they actually help them with meaningful work to help be able to provide for themselves. They ran a really great, successful campaign, and they had just some simple swag items like a water bottle and a pen. And that is just something that they can thank their supporters with and remind them of who they are. So it's a little bit of branding in there as well. And who doesn't love a water bottle, a reusable water bottle, or a pen? I'm always losing my pens, so having an extra pen around isn't a bad idea. The third thing is connection. This is a way for you to actually connect with your supporters. So we already talked about Crusoe's campaign and the fact that he was one of the product offerings or perk offerings was a Zoom call with Crusoe here and his little doggy sister, Daphne. That's a way for you to connect with your supporters. You know, if you have an animal shelter, maybe you can invite them on a virtual guided tour of your shelter. These are ways that you can get extremely creative when it comes to your campaign, especially if you find that maybe it's gone a little bit stale and you're nowhere near your goal. Maybe you think of creative ways that you can engage your supporters and offer them something in return. Number 4 is the most important. This is units of impact. And if you've watched any of our other webinars or read our blog or looked at our toolkits, anything like that, I'm sure you've heard the words units of impact before. So this is a really great example for a wish list is units of impact is a campaign Rescue the Rescuers, which I've talked about in other webinars as well. This was a campaign to help out trekking guides working for this company right here in Nepal. They're the ones who guide people up Everest and back down again safely. So when COVID hit, they weren't able to work because there was no travel going on. They didn't have any government assistance. So they had 16 trekking guide employees working for them that they needed just to get basic income to support their families until they were able to work again. So as wish list items, they created things like, you know, school fees for one child, to utilities. These are basic living items that they require for themselves and their families. And considering that their supporter network was all over the world, we don't really know what it costs to essentially live in Nepal. And we're not sure what the value of our dollar or pound or whatever we donated in is going to be. So this is a great way of showing them, you know, even if you can only spare an extra $20, that's school fees for one child for 1 month. So you're allowing a child to go to school for 1 month for $20 out of your pocket. That's going to elicit a really great reaction. So those were the whys. You've heard the whats, you've heard the whys, and you're on board. I hope not everyone has to be on board with rewards. It might not work for your campaign, but if I've gotten your creative juices flowing a little bit, great. And now I'm going to show you how to actually put them on Fundraiser. So we'll X out of that, and we're just going to hop into a demo campaign I've got right here. So this is what a campaign would look like directly after creation. It's pretty bland, it's pretty blah, and hopefully you've taken the time to make it not bland and blah. But to add rewards, what you would do is you go over here to edit, and then you can see rewards right here. Now, if you are still a little bit confused as to which type of reward that you need, we do have some guides right here. So which one should I offer? And it goes through the definitions that I just gave you. Get inspired. It will take you to one of our blog posts and give you some creative ideas for what you can use as rewards and some FAQ. Now, when you want to add a reward, you'd simply go here, add a reward. And I'm not going to go through absolutely every detail with you, but I just want to show you some key things. The first is you don't have to upload a picture, but you should, because our pictures are great. But you really should have a picture that is for your campaign in order to connect more with your supporters. You will have to put in what your costs are for the reward. This is especially important if you're giving out tax receipts. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but your costs are if you have spent money on that item yourself. So using the t-shirt example, even if you are giving the t-shirt away for a $50 donation and you had to buy that shirt and get it made first, even if it only costs you $5 a shirt to do that, that's what you would put in here. So you can have, you can limit one per contribution to your supporters. You can limit the total available so you don't go beyond what stock you have. We always ask for a contributor's name and email address. We don't automatically ask for shipping, but if you do have shipping included that is not digital fulfillment, then it will automatically ask your supporters for a shipping address for you. Digital fulfillment, you need a website in order to do digital fulfillment. So if you have a PDF or something like that, put it in a Google Drive or something like that that has an actual link, and then you can put that link in it. And when someone claims that reward item, they'll get sent that link. Variants, this is where you would put in information if you had different types of t-shirts to give out, sizes, colors, that kind of idea. You put the different variants in here. And if you have some offers going on or VIP supporters that you want to give a discount to, you can add on a promo code as well. So when you add a reward, we're just going to go reward. We'll give it a price of $50. And if you didn't spend anything on your reward, just put 0 there. Those, I believe, are the only things you have to fill out. Yes. So we just created a reward. You are not done yet. You would still have to save right here. But before we do that, I'm just going to show you a couple more things. One is we have the ability to clone rewards. And if you have a lot of rewards with the same basics, the same variants or shipping, and you put a lot of effort getting those variants in, and you don't want to do it 5, 6, 10 times, you can just clone this right here. So I hit clone, and it pops up with everything that I've just created in a new reward. And maybe all I have to do is change the price. So this reward's price is $40. Apply changes, and look, I have 2 rewards now. We do have a feature capability in here, but what our feature capability does is just put the featured banner on it. It doesn't automatically bring that reward to the top of your list. And that is because we give you the ability to drag and drop and move your rewards around however you like. But featured is still a good idea if you have one specific reward that you really want to push to your supporters. So we're done here, and now I am going to save. And if I scroll down here, you'll see that my rewards are now on the side of my story. So that is very simple how you add rewards. If you haven't launched your campaign and a reward is not claimed, you can delete it. So you would just go back into your rewards here and you would hit delete. If a reward has been claimed already, you can't delete it, but you can discontinue it. And this is because we just want to have some trust and transparency in our platform, and you don't want to change something about a reward after it's been claimed by someone, because that's going to look a little bit suspicious and it will hurt your credibility. So that's why you're not able to delete or change anything when it has already been claimed once. You would have to discontinue it and then create a new one. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. So we talked about how to do rewards. Now I'm just going to talk about how our ticketing system works. So when you have tickets as reward, you would just select ticket as a reward and what the price is. And you can put in a space where the supporter would have to enter the name and email of the person who's receiving the ticket. So if they're giving a ticket as a gift, they can do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be for themselves or their own name. But when they get it, they're going to get a ticket that looks like this. So it will have the price, it will have the ticket number, the supporter who ordered it, as well as a QR code. When they bring this ticket to your event, they scan you can scan the QR code with your phone. So you just go to your phone's phone app and scan it and hit the link that pops up. And something like this will pop up. It will say, yes, this ticket is valid. Here are all the details. This does not do anything such as ticket off a list. You could scan that barcode again and it will still say this ticket is valid. So if you're using this as entry, you might have to do some manual checking off of names too, just to make sure that no one's trying to use one ticket for more than one person. So it's just a little bit of extra work, but nothing really crazy. And that's how tickets work. It's all very simple. So layouts. A question that we get is, where will my perks show up or my rewards show up in different layouts that we have? They can go into pretty much any layout, but in things such as micro projects or peer-to-peer layouts, peer-to-peer campaigns or DIY campaigns, they're a little bit hidden. So because we don't want to put too much onto the campaign. So in those campaigns, rewards are never really that prominent, so we hide them. They're there, but they're in another tab. But the best layouts for reward items are either simple or standard storefronts or rewards flow. So rewards flow is more for if you have just a few rewards, maybe 3 to 4. And the storefronts are for if you have a lot of different reward items to give, or wish list items especially. The wish list items I showed you from the shelter, those are in a storefront format because it looks better to have lots of items more in the main part of the campaign. The differences between social and simple storefront are with the social storefront, you will have all of the same storytelling and sharing capabilities as any other campaign. So you would have your cover photo, all of your sharing here, and then a story, and then the store. This is more helpful for if you are linking to the storefront from maybe a social media account, somewhere where the person does not know already who you are, what you might be offering. So they might need a bit of a visual and a story. Simple storefront doesn't have a picture, doesn't have a story. It's pretty literally just a storefront. So a little bit more helpful if you're attaching this to a website, and then it just seems like you've opened a storefront directly from your website. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can choose whichever you wish, and you can actually change the layout no matter what, even if the campaign is running. So don't worry about getting the perfect layout right away. All right, and lastly, we're going to go over best practices. These are not all hard and fast rules. They are more suggestions for you to keep on the good side of your supporters. The most common question I tend to get is, how many rewards should I have and what price should they be? If you have a standard campaign, so not a storefront, then you should maybe have a maximum of 4 to 5 rewards. That's because we don't want to cause decision paralysis in our supporters. We want to keep any roadblock possible from them donating. So that includes asking them for information that you might not really need, and decision paralysis. So you don't want them to be like, I don't know what to choose, so I'm just really not going to choose anything, because we as humans, when we're faced with a lot of choice, a lot of us tend to get overwhelmed, and we don't want that. So keep it down to 4 to 5 maximum. And then you would want to choose a range of prices based around your average donation. Our average donation is about $100 USD, give or take. So if that is around what yours is, these are what we suggest as reward item costs. So it covers the majority of our donors if this is the average donation, the ones at the lower end and the ones at the higher end. We do see people having rewards in the thousands, and that's fine. You can add whatever reward you want. Just keep in mind that that's not likely to be claimed. You really do want to keep them to more or less an affordable, what your average donation would be. For wishes, especially, restricted funds versus unrestricted funds is a common question. Restricted funds basically mean that when you fundraise for something, especially when you crowdfund for something, you have to use the money for what you say you're going to use it for. So what that essentially translates to is if you have a wish list item and someone claims that wish list item, you have to buy that wish list item, because if you get audited and you haven't done that, then it's possible you could get in trouble. So in order to mitigate that, what Fundrazr did was we included an option for the supporter to acknowledge that this is a representation only, and you are going to put the funds towards whatever you deem needs it most for that project. So how you do that is you go to the edit section of your campaign and then data collection. Under there, you'll see this option, prompt for unrestricted usage of funds. You cannot prompt at all. You can prompt, but have it unchecked when the supporter gets to that part, or you can have it pre-checked. And if it's enabled, it will look like this. I'd like, whatever your organization name is, I would like Fundrazr to apply my contribution where it's needed most. They will either check it or uncheck it. Most of them leave it checked. Most supporters acknowledge the fact that you know where the money is best, and you might have too many of one thing in order to provide and not enough of another thing. The majority of them will leave it checked and be fine with it. But this protects you against possible repercussions for not using your wish list item funds for what they purposely bought them for. It's just in name. Expectation setting. This is more for if you're shipping out a product or a perk. When is the item expected to ship? Make sure that if there are any delays or anything like that, you communicate them. Delays happen, especially in this day and age when COVID has slowed down our postal services and other shipping. That's fine. All you have to do is be open and honest about it. Just let all of your supporters know, the ones who are getting that perk or reward, let them know that it's late and this is the reason why. Just keep doing that. Keep them updated. How will you handle product refunds? So if you have a product and someone would like a refund, if you do refund them, you might also be charged service fees, and then you would also have to ship that product back. So when you come up with your goal, keep in mind that you might need a bit of a buffer just in case you have a certain amount asked for refunds. And then multiple item shipping. When you have a reward to be shipped on our system, you can add a shipping cost to that. It won't be in your total for your amount raised because shipping costs don't really count. So we don't include them in our totals. But we are not an e-commerce store. So it doesn't work exactly like a lot of the store checkouts that you are familiar with. It won't automatically calculate shipping based on weight or amount of items or where the supporter is. So you essentially are going to need all of that. For multiple item shipping, you will have the option to choose whether, if someone wants more than one of the same product, you can batch those together and only charge one shipping cost. This is probably a better idea if your item doesn't weigh very much. If it weighs a lot, you might want to just add those shipping costs together. But if you believe you're going to have supporters who want to buy different products, then you have a couple of options for making sure you don't overcharge them for shipping. You can have shipping as a whole other perk item, or create it as an add-on in the checkout flow. And if and you would just have to essentially verbalize in your story that if that person wants more than one product, to not choose shipping on that product, and then choose shipping for an amount that you specify as another as another product item. This all sounds really confusing right now, but basically the gist is there are options. Please contact us if you have questions and we will help you through them. That's part of what my team does, is we ensure your campaign's success as best as we can. So we will help you try to navigate the system for your unique need. And you definitely want to make sure that you are organized. I'm going to show you how to get transaction reports, which will show you, which will be good for when you have to order your items, for packing and shipping as well. So you've got two options when you download a transaction report. You can separate by order or line by line. And this is what I mean. So when you go to your transactions menu in your campaign, there's an option called order items. And then when you download the report, you can download it separated by order or not. So what this means is if you separate by order, it's going to show who ordered what item. So it's separate by actual physical order. And that would be better for when you're packaging and shipping out. But if you want a line by line form by what the product is, so I have this many products or of this product ordered, I have this many of this product ordered. So it's not separate by each supporter's order. This is better for when you are ordering from your supplier or manufacturing or printing, because that one will tell you how many of each product you have ordered total. So we tried to give you a couple of different ways to make your fulfillment a little bit easier on you. And I said I would talk about tax receipting, and I want to make sure that everyone understands this is for eligible organizations only. Fundraiser is not a fiscal sponsor, which means we cannot give tax receipts out on your behalf under our name. But if you are a registered nonprofit or charity in your country and you are eligible to give out tax receipts, then make sure that you do the with or without advantage part correctly. An advantage is your reward item and what you put in cost wise. So if you have tax receipt with an advantage, that means that the supporter has ordered a perk or a product or something like that. And what you spent on that item to get that item built or created is not taxable. So their tax receipt can't include that part of your costs. So that's why you have to put your costs into the reward item, and then our receipting function will automatically calculate what the taxable or tax deductible amount is. So just make sure that's done properly. And what about multi-tier campaigns? Like I said, you can have rewards on all of our multi-tier campaigns. Just make sure that if you have a peer-to-peer or a DIY type campaign, you know where those perk or product items live, and that's in the story tabs. But when it comes to sub campaigns, you do have a couple options. You can allow sub campaigns to have their own reward items, or just inherit the ones from the main campaign that you created. So under your multi-tier settings in your main campaign, you will find this option, which is, do you want to allow different rewards on sub campaigns? Yes or no, and then save. What is not allowed as a reward? I'm hoping that most of these are pretty obvious, but in case they're not, illegal substances, no selling drugs online, firearms. Again, we can't do any form of gambling, auctions, or raffles. Like I said, you can do one if you prove to us you have the license, But again, this platform is not really designed for that. So you might not get exactly what you're looking for. And as well as you can't sell ad space because this is not considered a donation. This is considered an actual transaction. All right, so let's review what we went over. We went over what is a reward, why should I use them, how to set them up, as well as some best practices. We do have a rather extensive article on how to set up rewards and fulfillment of rewards in our help center. So just go to our help center, which is connectionpoint.com/help. And then you can search for rewards in the little search bar there. Ask my team. Our support team is wonderful, and we're happy to consult with you and try to figure out what might be best for you. You can get to us at that little chat function down at the bottom right of your screen in the platform, or email us at support@fundraiser.com. I hope you found this helpful. This is only really a surface level explanation of the benefits of rewards and what the possibilities are, but I'm really hoping this got your creative juices flowing and you can come up with some pretty interesting ways to hit your goal. So thank you again. Let us know if you need help, and good luck.